Sign of Orion, Halloween asteroid flyby at 78,000 miles per hour. A recent article on Huffington Post reported freakishly fast asteroid to buzz past Earth on Halloween. The asteroid will come near Earth, nearly as close as our moon, in one of the closest encounters in a decade. This article states that a large asteroid that was first discovered by scientists only 2 weeks ago is set to scream past Earth on Halloween, and it's the closest encounter that our planet has had with an asteroid in nearly a decade. With the asteroid dubbed 2015 TB145, man, like I said in an earlier video, they really have a way of naming these things. Apparently, it doesn't present any kind of threat. It says it'll come within 310,000 miles of Earth, nearly as close as our own moon, and will zoom past at an unusually high speed of more than 78,000 miles per hour, according to NASA. So I guess for an asteroid, that is incredibly fast. The chunk of rock was spotted October 10th by the Pan-STARRS 1 telescope located atop the Hawaiian island of Maui and used to discover and characterize objects that might pose a danger to Earth. In its report, NASA said that the flyby presents a truly outstanding scientific opportunity to study the physical properties of this object. There's a quote here that says, this is the closest approach by a known object this large until 1999 and 10 approaches within 1 lunar distance in August of 2027. The space agency wrote. So yeah, be looking forward to that. August of 2027. I'm sure we're going to get a bunch of doomsday rumors and all that stuff. You know how that goes. And this, by the way, for people who might be new to my channel or my videos or me, this is not a doomsday video. I'm not saying that this asteroid is going to hit Earth or anything like that. There's nothing to even suspect anything like that. So, but anyway, it says here that NASA said the last time an asteroid of this time zoomed this close was in July of 2006. Now, this is interesting. Preliminary estimates indicate 2015 TB145 is about 1,542 feet in diameter, 28 times larger than the meteor that penetrated the atmosphere over Russia in 2013. And that report comes from EarthSky. It says it will travel across the constellation of Orion on the night of October 30th through the 31st, with its closest approach of 1.3 lunar distances to Earth occurring around 11:14 a.m. Eastern Time on October 31st. Now that's interesting. In ancient times they looked at celestial things for sources of prophecy and things like that, and there is even an interpretation of Bible prophecy that you can look at. And I'm not talking about astrology or anything when it comes to the Bible. Two totally different things. But E.W. Bullinger wrote things about how you can actually look at and find the gospel in the constellations and in the stars. Well, what's interesting is I wrote a book a while ago called Cherubim Chariots, and in it I talk about the prophecies in the stars, but also that it's possible there could be warnings in there. And one really interesting constellation is Orion. There's been a lot of research into Orion, just the myth of Orion, and there's been a lot of connections between Orion and Nimrod of the Tower of Babel story in Genesis. The basic idea is after the Tower of Babel incident, the population of the earth were scattered and languages were changed and everything. Well, the idea goes that when that happened, they would have been telling the story of Nimrod, but now everybody speaks different languages, so they would have called him different names, based on what language there are. So there have been connections made between Nimrod and Gilgamesh, and Orion's a big one, even Osiris, and um, just a bunch of there are a bunch of characters in the mythologies of the world that basically tell the same story of this same Nimrod figure. Um, and so the idea is that they're actually talking about the same. They're all talking about the same person. So the idea that the constellation Orion might represent Nimrod or a future Antichrist is something that researchers have done a lot of work with, because the idea is basically that Nimrod was the first Antichrist. He was the first person to make a one world government and one world religion. So the idea is that the coming Antichrist might have something in common with him, and some believe that it will be Nimrod himself, maybe resurrected somehow. I don't know about all that, but one of the interesting things about that is a connection of Nimrod to a mythological character is Apollo in the Greek. Now, there's in the Bible we read in Revelation about Apollyon, the king of the bottomless pit, the king over the locusts, the locust army, and it's entirely possible that Apollyon is Apollo. That's what they were referring to when that's what John was referring to when he wrote that. If ancient myth, if there's a seed of truth in there, if Apollo was a fallen angel or possibly part of the Nephilim or something more supernatural like that, and not just some human that people decided to write a whole bunch of exaggerated stories about, then it's possible that since fallen angels, they're immortal, they don't die. There's a coming judgment that they'll have to deal with, but they don't die. So it's possible that something like that could make a return. That's just one possibility, and there are many. I'm not advocating any specific one in this video, but the interesting thing is that this flyby is happening first on Halloween, which there's a lot of occult connections to that. And for more information, you can check out my interview with Doc Marquis on the Sharpening Report about the connections between Halloween and the occult. But also that it goes over this Orion constellation. And if you want more information on what I believe that the Orion constellation is signifying, and also there are, I believe, signs on the Earth, not man-made, but actually set in the topography of the Earth that connect back to Orion. If you're interested in that, you can check out my book, Cherubim Chariots. And I've talked a little bit about it in interviews and stuff, but it is something that's so far out there and weird. But so I haven't brought it up a whole lot. But Cherubim Chariots, that book is all about that. I'll have you can go to ministudyministry.com and find it there. So anyway, it's just interesting that this meteor is going over the constellation over Orion on Halloween. That's maybe it's just coincidence, maybe not. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. It also says here the asteroid won't be visible to the naked eye. So that's something else to think about. If it's a sign for something, for it to be a sign, does it have to be seen from the naked eye, or so and then of course that is if you trust the people that are telling us these things in the first place. It mentions NASA a lot in here, and and I understand not everybody, for very good reason, doesn't trust NASA and their information. So who knows? Could this be something that NASA just made up, and there's a little clue in there with the Orion thing, or is that just way too out on a limb? maybe I'm just reaching with that, but it's just an idea. It also says amateur astronomers may be able to see it using telescopes 8 inches in diameter or larger. If you're an amateur astronomer and you have access to something like that, I'd love you to leave a comment and tell us, if you're watching this after Halloween, tell us if you're able to see it, what it looked like. That would be cool. It says here, in August, internet rumors were claiming an asteroid was going to hit the Earth this fall, but NASA quickly quashed those. And there's a quote from NASA here. There is no existing evidence that an asteroid or any other celestial object is on a trajectory that will impact Earth. Paul Chodas, manager of NASA's Near-Earth Object Office at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, said in a release. In fact, not a single one of the known objects has any credible chance of hitting our planet over the next century. All right, so that's what they say. That's what NASA says. Other people have reasons to believe otherwise, so I'm interested what you have to say. Is NASA right? Is nothing going to hit over the course of the next century? It seems like the Book of Revelation might be talking about asteroids hitting the Earth. I think a good argument could be made that some of the times when it says that like a star hit the Earth, it could be an angel. I think that there's more biblical evidence towards that, but again, it's all speculation. So, what do you guys think about this? Is there anything here? Do you think this is real? Do you think it's just an interesting event, in the cosmos? Is there more to it? What do you guys think? Feel free to leave a comment below. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel if you like videos like this and others. We also do the sharpening reports on this channel, so lots of good interviews with people. All right, so I guess that's it. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care and God bless.